Top 10? You don't want to do that gamer rant? The Disgruntled gamer rant?
I thought we just did that. Was that not what you just pulled up?
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, that's what it was. Okay, well, I can get angry again.
No.
I got one more in the tank.
No, buddy. Disgruntled gamer rant. The subject is, for this podcast, Disgruntled gamer rant, is Konami.
Boy.
Konami. Yeah. I got some things to say about Konami.
I mean, a lot of people are probably saying, well, what can you possibly say about Konami? Well, we're not talking about Konami from the 90s or the 80s. We're talking about recent Konami.
Okay. Let's get into a little Konami.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, to start off, as everyone is aware, Konami has changed their focus. And their focus isn't on, console games or anything like that. Their focus is actually, they've done a large shift to, away from traditional gaming. And now they're focusing on mobile games.
Yuck.
Pachinko.
Even more yuck.
Which is a Japanese form of gambling. It's pretty much, it's like slots. And fitness services. But anyway, let's talk about
Can you
old
imagine
Konami.
being in the gym, fucking working out, lifting weights? You're like, hey man, where'd you learn that workout from? Motherfucker, look at everybody like, man, you better download that fucking Konami app.
But I want to talk about something here. Konami, one of Konami's biggest mistakes. One of their greatest mistakes.
Not one of them.
The greatest mistake is the removal of Hideo Kojima. Possibly one of the greatest mistakes in gaming in the last 20 years by a company. Like removals.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is legendary. A legendary game designer, Kojima, which he is. No one can say he
was
isn't.
Konami. He was Konami.
Metal Gear was Konami. Castlevania was Konami, even though he had nothing to do with those. But he was Metal Gear.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest. He was Metal Gear. But anyway, in 2015, Konami pretty much announced their long-standing relationship with Kojima was coming to an end. And this is where they were ramping up. They had he had a game called PT was the name of it, but then he also was on Silent Hills, right? The game Silent Hills that never got released. Not Silent Hill, Silent Hills.
Yeah.
And this is where he brought in Guillermo del Toro and Norman Reedus. And this is before Death Stranding, all right? But anyway, the fall happened in 2015. But Kojima made good friends with Del Toro, and he made good friends with Norman Reedus. And guess who was in his next game, Death Stranding?
Correct.
Both of them.
Yep.
Okay. So they lost that. They lost, Silent Hills project. They lost a few others. I mean, they pretty much lost Metal Gear. Where is Metal Gear going to come from here? You're making a remake. Yeah, that's pretty much all you're going to have to do from now on, Konami, is you're going to have to make remakes of Metal Gear. Yeah. You're not making another Metal Gear without Kojima. I'm sorry. You're not.
Yeah. Yep.
You're not. All right, so is the Metal Gear series dead? Probably.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't know. Do you know the last Castlevania game? I'm not talking about the Legacy collections. The last Castlevania game, like new Castlevania game release. You know when that was?
Shit, probably what, 2008, 10, something like that?
No, it was later than that. It was 2014. Lords of Shadow 2.
Is that for the? Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, 2014 Lords of Shadow 2. It has been 11 years, Grant, since we got I'm not talking about a remake. I'm not talking about a collection. I'm talking about a new Castlevania game. It has been 11 years.
Whenever you have a star prodigy, that's what he is, you do whatever you can to make the man happy. There's been some fumbles and I can only compare it to sports. You know what I mean? Because that's where a lot of prodigies go. This reminds me of the time that when the Seattle Mariners traded Ken Griffey Jr. to the Reds. Like, what are you doing? He's one of the greatest baseball players of all time. And you're just like, we're not going to offer him what he wants. We're just going to let him go to Cincinnati. And then what happens after that? Your fucking franchise is a failure. And it's still recovering. Like, it still hasn't been back in form since then. Recently, let's talk about recently. The Dallas Mavericks decided to choose the greatest player they've had since Dirk Nowitzki and Luka Doncic. And where do they send him to? Hey, let's just send him out to L.A. And but here's the thing is, certainly we're going to send him to Los Angeles and get something in return, right? No, you get nothing. You basically get kicked in the ball sack and get like a first-round pick in 2035 or some shit like that. So instead of making your star player happy, you decide, hey, we're going to let you go because we can do better without you. Well, Konami, you haven't. You suck. You have been terrible lately. Now, people will eat up all the remakes. I mean, your catalog. I mean, you have an outstanding catalog. So, I mean, but eventually people are going to get tired of remakes. And they're going to get tired of remasters. And then you're going to run out of ideas. I mean, sure. Could you make a remake of Symphony of the Night? Sure, you could. Would it sell? You damn right it would.
Yeah, it would.
It would. But I mean, how long is that going to last? I mean, you only have like 10 years of remakes and remasters that you can do before you become irrelevant. And you're kind of on your way heading there now.
I mean, unless they get rid of the Castlevania. I mean, dude, I just don't see Konami making another great Castlevania game.
I don't see them making another Castlevania game at all, actually.
Yeah, so the way their company has shifted away from console gaming, I see mobile Castlevanias, but I don't want a fucking mobile Castlevania. I want a next mainline Castlevania.
Like
but the thing is, you also have indie developers and other developers are making fantastic Metroidvania games.
Yeah.
And I think they're afraid. They're afraid because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they're the ones that started it, along with, you also have Metroid. But, when it comes to Castlevania and those types of games, they started it. And they had one of the greatest games ever made, which is, of course, Symphony of the Night. But they're afraid to put out another Castlevania game when you have so many great Metroidvania games like Hollow Knight, Ender Lilies. You have Will-O-Wisp. All those great Metroidvania games.
Yeah,
I just think they're afraid, and we're never probably going to see another one.
Weird because you have unlimited amount of resources. Like, you don't mean that you couldn't put together a good team. Like, you're not going to put together a Kojima team, but you can get somewhere close. You can get somewhere.
Well, this is why they had to resort to giving Dead Cells. Let's say Dead Cells, another Metroidvania game. They're giving that the Castlevania DLC, right?
Yeah.
And Dead Cells, which is again another one of the top Metroidvania games ever created. Dead Cells is.
Yeah. Basically, what they're saying is like, hey, your game's probably better than what we can make. We're just going to give you our IP to use in it. How about that?
They did it with the same thing with V Rising or whatever, the Vampire Survivor game. They just said, hey, here's a DLC for Castlevania.
Like, they're just throwing out.
That's all they're doing. They're like, here,
they're just throwing out DLC.
Need some Castlevania stuff. Here's a DLC. That's what they're doing. They're just doing Castlevania DLCs.
Anything that has to do with like
games
Halloween.
That have nothing to do with Castlevania.
Anything that has to do with Halloween. Hey, I see you got a Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin game. You want the Castlevania DLC to go along with it?
Fitness services, yes, the prepared artists, they're into fitness services.
I don't know if I would want to take fitness advice from a company that probably made a lot of people fat by sitting on the couch playing video games.
So the Konami that you guys all grew up with
is no longer around.
Not even grew up with. I played all the Metal Gear, Phantom Pain and everything like that. They're done. You're going to get Metal Gear remakes. They're probably that what is it, the Snake Eater? That's probably going to be hopefully a good remake. But that's what you're going to get going forward.
Yep.
It's over, Metal Gear. But it lives on with guess who? Kojima.
It's true.
Because let's be honest, after that Death Stranding 2 trailer, that had a lot of Metal Gear. that had a lot of fuck you, Konami.
Yeah,
it had a lot of Metal Gear-esque stuff to it. Like one of the bad guys put it on that bandana, looking like Solid Snake. Or, that ship that melded with one of the BTs. That had a lot of Metal Gear looking stuff to it. So, and of course the combat too. And it looks like the Death Stranding 2 is going to put a little. Kojima, he listens to fans. He listens to feedback,
Yeah.
and so he's going to put a little bit more combat. A little bit different gameplay to Death Stranding 2 from the looks of it. But I mean, this was a great fumble, and Konami, I don't know what you're doing. So yes, you deserve to be on the Disgruntled Gaming Rant.
That's right.
Okay, Grant.